This is an AutoCAD in 20 hours tutorial on scales. Check your YouTube settings. Set the quality to HD if possible. When we talk about scales in AutoCAD, what we are talking about is the ratio between the actual object that we're drawing and the scale that it will be printed or plotted at on the paper. That's rather hard to visualize because, for instance, here's a house and it looks rather small. So what I did is I drew a couple of stick figures here. These are about the size of humans, and they're standing out in front of the house. And one of them is holding a piece of paper that's 3 foot wide by 2 foot tall, and on it is depicted that house. This house is plotted or will be plotted or printed at 1 to the 48th scale. That is the same as 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. Her friend over here is holding up a cell phone. That could easily be printed at a 1-to-1 scale, but in it is a computer chip, and that would need to be blown up to a very large scale in order to be seen on the paper. The size of the objects will not change, only the size at which they will be printed or plotted. So what we're talking about when we're talking about scales is the dimensions, specifically the numbers, or what's called the text, dimension text, the text on the page, the leaders, and the dashed or broken lines. For information on dashed and broken lines, watch my video on line. And the leaders are set with the dimensions. So what we're talking about is dimensions and leaders and text. In order to set those manually, we need a ratio. If you're going to set them using the annotative feature, watch my video on text and my video on dimensions, and that will show you how to use the annotative feature. But if you want to set them manually or know what AutoCAD is doing when it sets them automatically with the annotative feature, then you need to understand how the scales work. So the drawing that we have of the house there is going to be printed or plotted at 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. And the first thing we need to do is convert the 1 foot into 12 inches so that we have the same units of measurement on both sides of the equal sign. And once we've done that, then we can use this simple equation to figure out our scale. 12 divided by 1/4 equals 48. If we're using metric, then the scale itself will give us the scale, which is, in this case, it's a 50. Or if we're going to scale up like we would with the chip, then we've got to take this side of the equation and divide it into this side. So in this case, we'd get 0.01. Once we have our ratio, then we're ready to set the dimensions. And we'll do that under the Dimension Style Manager. I've got this style already called 0.25 for 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. I'm just going to show you, and once again, look at my video on dimensions if you need to know more about setting these things up. But under the Fit tab, this is where we would use that 48 ratio right here. When we do that and we plot out 1/4 inch to the foot, the text will come out to whatever we've set in this window here under the text tab. So now when we go out to the paper space and we scale our drawing, in this case 1/4 inch to the foot, you can see that we get our dimension text and the ticks and everything sized appropriate. If we are going to set the text manually, then we need to use another formula, a very simple formula, and it looks like this. On this, the first number here is the text size that we're looking for, and that could be in millimeters also. Then we have our ratio, times them together, and that gives us the size of the text. So in this case, if we are using the 1/4 inch equals 1 foot scale to plot at, and we want 1/8 inch high text on that piece of paper, we will actually make our text 6 inches high when we create it. And once again, watch my video on text to see how to do that. If we're using metric, it's very much the same. Size of text that we want to print out on the paper times our ratio will give us the size of the text that we will create in model space. That's basically all you need to know about scales, except that we also have the scale tool. We are going to use the scale tool now and look at that feature. Here we have a rectangle that's 10 foot by 10 foot. I'm going to make 2 copies of it. And I'm going to scale one of them up by a scale factor of 2. Now I have my dimensions set up for the quarter style, which is 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. And let's see what happens now when we use that. On the original sized rectangle, it's 10 foot. On the scaled up rectangle, it reads 20 feet. If I want them both to be printed out on the same page, so that I've got a smaller version over here, and then maybe I've blown this up, maybe there's some little detail in there that I want to show more clearly or make some notes about, I'm going to need to set up a new dimension style. So I'm going to modify, actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to set a new style based on the quarter style, and I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to type 0.25 scaled. Now I'm going to leave everything the same. I've still got 48 for the ratio in here. My text height is still 1/8 of an inch, but what I'm going to change is here on the primary units tab, I'm going to come under the scale factor, and I'm going to put in a number here that's going to offset the scale. So the scale was 2, and I want to get back to 1, so I'm going to type 0.5. So what I type in here, you'll times it by whatever you scaled the object up to get back to 1. And then that's all I have to do, really. Set it current, close it. Now let's take this out of here, and let's try it again with our new style, our new dimension style. And there you see I've got 10. So now if I'm printing out these 2 graphics on the same page, scaling one of them up to show greater detail, but I want the dimension to read correctly. That's what I have to do. Go into the primary units and put in a scale factor that essentially neutralizes whatever I scaled it up. So that's pretty much all you need to know about scales. Visit AutoCAD in 20hours.com for more free information and a free trial of the course.